Yep. Presumably.
Okay. Shalom Aleichem, everybody, and welcome. I want to give a special welcome to the new Chevra. I think this group is probably going to be about 5 more guys or something. I don't know why people are not here on time. But we're starting a stretch for Bassar B'Chalav. Bassar B'Chalav, from the topics that we learned Machala Yakum, which is, I would consider that light, but then you have Bassar B'Chalav and Tarubas. Those are the two more complex issues. Not the Bassar B'Chalav is not difficult, but it's more complex. And then we have Hilchos Shabbos. So a lot of people in this group who just rolled in from Hilchos Shabbos. Oh, I just realized, Maxine. Oh, welcome, specialist. We're starting Bassar B'Chalav. Bassar B'Chalav is the Yeridea Simon Pei Zayin. Let's give you a couple of things because there's a couple of new guys. I want to officially welcome them, and also tell them how it works. How it works is there are a lot of good things that you have online on our program that could help you. There are topic shiurim. Now in Hilchos Shabbos, for those of you guys who learned Hilchos Shabbos with me, I never made topic shiurim in Hilchos Shabbos. I should do that. But there are 10-minute topic shiurim, which gives you the background of the simanim of the conversations that you don't see on the page when you learn Shulchan Aruch, and you listen to them as you're jogging or whatever. It'll give you background information to be able to understand the material here better. I know it's very, very helpful. And then there are other tools that we have on there, which is you could test yourself, multiple choice questions, and it gives you the right answer and all those things. But nothing replaces the hard work that you do on your own when you have to study it on your own, and preferably with a chavrusa. And I consider myself the mop-up man. You come twice a week in the shir, and I will try to, Be'ezer Hashem Yisbarach, try to clarify a difficult halacha on the quota or whatever. The page is pretty scary. There's a lot of things going on in the Shulchan Aruch page. And hopefully once you're done, your Shulchan Aruch will look a little beaten up like this Shulchan Aruch, right? Because there's a lot of material you have to know. When you learn Shulchan Aruch, especially for the new guys, I think that part of the package of their welcoming, you get a video which tells you the who on the page. Who's the Mechaber, who's the Ramah, who's the Shach, who's the Taz. Who are the people on the page, what do you follow? And then the goal that we're looking to accomplish is not only that a person knows material, not only he knows information. Of course, you can listen at classes and get information, but the goal is that you should master at your own level, that you should be able to fall back and read the Shulchan Aruch, the Mechaber, Ramah, Shach, Taz on your own, and it should become Tayrascha b'Toich Meah. You should become yours. It's not something that somebody just plopped into you. What you have to know is the Mechaber and the Ramah is the insert, is the main Shulchan Aruch. That's the final halacha. I mean, that is the halacha, and the commentaries on the side, which is the Sifsei Kohen, which is abbreviation of the word Shach, and the Turei Zov, Mishpatzei Zov, the Turei Zov, which is an abbreviation of the word Taz. Those are the commentaries. That's what you must know. Everything else you see on the page only enhances your learning, only enhances your understanding, but those are not the mandatory. The mandatory things is Mechaber, Ramah, Shach, Taz. Okay. I don't know if you have managed to see, there is a Hakdama shir, introduction shir that was sent out, or it's on the site, where it gives you a little Hakdama background to Hilchos Bossor B'Cholov. Anybody had a chance to listen to it, watch it? Anybody? No. Hey, Benzine, what are you on Kodesh behind you? What is that? You also have a show in your house?
It's the coastal Moravi. I'm stopping. I don't go to the coastal. I brought the coastal to me.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about a little Bassar B'Chalav. I don't know how many people, it looks like nobody had a chance to listen to it. It's very, very helpful. Listen to that 15-20 minute Hakdama Bassar B'Chalav share. It's really going to give you an insight to what you have to know for the halachas of Bassar B'Chalav. So Bassar means meat. Chalav means milk. This is one halacha in the Torah that is extremely, extremely unique. It's a riddle. What's the riddle? How could a person eat something which is kosher, yet he'll be punished for eating something kosher? The answer is he's eating kosher meat. He's eating kosher milk. But he's not eating them in a way that you're allowed to eat them. Because meat is made for you to have during supper. You want to have a steak, you want to have a hot dog. As long as it's kosher, you can eat as much as you want. Milk, you want to have cereal milk, you want to have coffee, you have kosher milk, you can eat as much as you want. These are two items that are kosher. And only when you put them together in a prohibited way, a nuclear reaction happens that the Torah says, you just passed the line. The meat is kosher, the milk is kosher. There is no other isser in the Torah like that. Anything else that we know that we're not allowed to eat is the Torah says it's just not kosher. You want to have a slice of pork? You can't. You want to have lobster? It's from the no-nos. It's something that you're not allowed. It's an isser. The title is it's a dvar isser. It's a prohibited item. Milk is not prohibited. Meat is not prohibited. It's kosher meat. It was shechted. But it's because it was done in a certain way, now an isser kicks in. That principle creates a big monster. That principle creates a big monster. Because no Yid, as he's driving and is hungry, says, you know what, I would like to have a Burger King burger. A Yid naturally is refrained from eating the vela, from eating treifa. A Yid is not naturally removed from having milk, because milk I do drink. And meat I do drink, kosher meat. Meat I do eat. Just the detail of how it was prepared is a minor detail that I'm not used to staying away from the meat and the milk. Uvechein, there are so many restrictions piled onto this isser to make sure that you don't get involved with it, because these are things. The very similar halacha with refined is about chametz on Pesach. And chametz on Pesach, there are so many additional buffer zone restrictions to make sure that you don't have it, because 300 and some days a year you eat it. We all eat bread, we all eat cake, we all eat cookies. It's only 7 days a year we can't eat it. We are naturally clinging to it. So because it's a permissible item by so much time of the year, we need more restrictions to keep it away from this no-no time. In Bassar B'Chalav is the same way. Bassar is allowed, Chalav is allowed. It's just not allowed to be cooked together and eaten.
Is the din of chiddush that Bassar B'Chalav is also?
Bassar B'Chalav is a waffle chiddush. In what sense? There are so many parts to the Bassar B'Chalav that do not apply by any other isser. I'll give you an example. Are you allowed to work? You want to make some extra money, so you want, as a Sunday job, you want to work in Wendy's or McDonald's. Would that be a problem? Why? Beer. What's your real name? It says Beer. Is it Bear?
No, Herschel Chaim.
So how does
Herschel.
the beer come there?
So my name
Herschel
is not
means a
public
deer.
on the internet.
Huh?
So my name isn't public on the internet.
Gee. Okay, very good. Shkoyach.
I was looking for a way to change it for specifically in the classroom, but
You're asking the wrong person. I don't even know how to put on a computer. I have a computer here with all my old shiurim. I have to download. I don't even know how to put it on there. Okay. Who is the technical guy here? I don't know. Okay, anyway, let's go back to why do you say I can't work in Wendy's? I can't work in McDonald's.
So Bassar B'Chalav is also Eser B'Hana. So
what if it wasn't Bassar B'Chalav? What if they're selling chicken wings, or they're selling just hot dog? I work a goyish hot dog stand. Could I sell hot dogs in the ballpark? Non-kosher hot dogs. Could I
To
have
non-Jews.
Huh?
Presumably to non-Jews.
Obviously, because then I can't, to Jews, I can't get them.
Right.
But am I allowed to sell non-kosher food? There's a lot of people that have a parnasa and they're selling non-kosher food. Non-kosher food is not asur b'hana, right? But even that's not a big chiddush, because that's not something very unique only to Bassar B'Chalav. There are other items, there are other isurim that are asur b'hana. Like what? Chametz on Pesach, you're not allowed to have hana from. Avodah Zarah, you're not allowed to have hana from. So the hana prohibition is not something unique. It's exclusive to certain things, but it's not new. Eating, not allowed to eat, that's for sure not unique. The Jewish diet doesn't allow you to eat so many things. Doesn't allow you to eat dam, chalev, nevela, treifa, lobster. There's so many things that we can't eat. So that's not a chiddush. To answer Yeshaya's question, the whopper chiddush about Bassar B'Chalav is that besides for not being able to eat it, besides for not being able to have hana from it, which we do find by other isurim, you're even not allowed to cook it. Just cooking it, you're not allowed. And that's the only isur in the Torah that you find that by is Bassar B'Chalav. That to cook up a pot of Bassar B'Chalav, just the cooking itself is a problem. How do I know?
In fact, cooking is more usher than eating. No.
Why?
Because cooking is a minatayra, and eating is minarvana.
Eating is not midrabanan.
In minatayra, in Torah it says only lasavashal.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I'm getting to.
Okay.
The Torah, when it talks about don't eat dam, blood, or chalev, it says chol dam loiseh chalev. Don't eat blood. It says don't eat these type of animals. Don't eat these species. Don't eat. So it always uses the word don't eat. When the Torah doesn't want you to eat Bassar B'Chalav, it doesn't say anywhere don't eat. It says loy tevashel yedi b'chavei imoy. Don't cook a goat in its mother's milk. So the truth is, if the Torah would have only said that pasuk once, the halacha would be I am not allowed to cook it. There wouldn't be an isur to eat it, because that's not what the Torah says. The Torah says lo yisavashel gedi b'chalei imoy. But how did it translate that I'm also not allowed to eat it? Is because the Torah didn't say that pasuk only once. The pasuk of Lo Yisavashel Gedi B'Chalei Imoy says 3 times in the Torah, which is also not out of ordinary. Why? Does anybody know how many times the mitzvah of Shabbos says in the Torah? Or does anybody know how many times?
Was it twice? Was it twice, Rabbi, or how many times?
There's different opinions. Some say, I think 11, sometimes 39. Let me just, the mitzvah of Yetzias Mitzrayim, Zeicha Yetzias Mitzrayim. You know how many times it says that in the Torah? 50. So there's nothing unique that the Torah repeats itself more than once. But the fact that the Torah does repeat itself more than once usually teaches us something. So most of the other cases, it teaches us the severity of this isser. You know, usually if you pass the line, you're going to get punished. But for this one, you didn't just transgress one avera, you're getting punished twice. Over here, the Chachamim came along and said that the same pasuk, even though it says it the same wording, and it says it more than once, each one of those times is referring to a different part of the isser. Lo yisavashel gedi b'chalei imoy, number 1, means don't cook meat and milk. Oh, it says it a second time. Now I don't want you to eat meat and milk. Oh, it says it a third time. I also don't want you to gain profit from milk and meat. In other words, the halacha is telling me that every time the Torah mentions it was to tell you a new detail in this Isser. Echadu Isser Bishul, the Echadu Isser Achila, the Echadu Isser Hanoah. There is a fascinating halachic sicha from the Rebbe, where the Rebbe explains this halacha, because, as I mentioned before, it's from these three parts of the Isser, cooking, eating, and profit, the biggest chiddush is the cooking part. There is no Isser in the Torah that has that. So if that's the biggest Isser in the Torah, you would think that first I have to know you shouldn't eat them, which is common, very common. Then also add the fact that you can't profit from it. That also happens. It says the third time. Then the third time is mechadesh. You can't even cook it. But when you look in the Mechaber and Sif Aleph, he doesn't go 1 is eating, 2 is selling, 3 is cooking. He says the Isser Bishul. The first time tells you you're not allowed to cook it. The second time says you're not allowed to eat it. And the third one is Hanoah. He starts off with the Bishul, the first one. And the Rebbe says the answer is very simple. Because if the Torah would only say it once, I would have to read the pasuk as is. As is, loy sevashel means don't cook. When you look in the Targum on the pasuk, the Targum actually translates loy sevashel, loy toichlun, don't eat. But if it would only that privilege he has, because it says more than once. If it would only say, just like I don't understand a lot of other mitzvahs in the Torah, why I shouldn't do it. I don't do it because that's what the Torah says. So this would have been one of those. Loy sevashel, I won't cook because that's what the Torah wants. Because, since it says a second time, I'm also not allowed to eat them. I'm also not allowed to profit from them. Now, but there is a problem. The problem is, why did the Torah say the same word? Why didn't the Torah help us out and say once, don't cook? The second, milk and meat together. The second time, he should have said, don't eat milk and meat together. You know how much easier it would be this year, I wouldn't have to give. It would have been so. And the third one would have said, don't sell milk and meat together. Why did the Torah say the same words? And we have to break our heads to figure out it doesn't mean always the same thing. You know, in this week's Parsha, the Medrash says there's 10 psukim in the Torah. Didn't I just tell this to you, David, yesterday? There's 10 psukim in the Torah that there's one word in the Torah, that there's one word in it that has a dot. Even in the Torah, when you write that letter, there's a dot on the 10 words that have a dot on one of the words. And the reason the dot is there is to show you that this word don't translate literally. This word has to be translated different than literally. And one of them is in this week's parsha. Anyway, Yishbet Hashem Beini Ubeinacha, whatever. So I'm saying over here, we're taking what says Lo Savasha Gedi B'Chalevi Moy, and we're translating this 2 or 3 times. Doesn't mean Tavash. So why did the Torah do it to us? So the answer is the Torah insisted to write Tavashel. Why? Because the Torah wants, hold on, I want to make this bigger. I want to see what everybody's doing. Why can't? Hold on. Okay. The Torah wants that the word tavashel is very, very important. You're obviously not allowed to cook milk and meat together. But the other parts of Bassar B'Chalav, the Isser of Bassar B'Chalav, don't eat it and don't sell it. Tavashel is still important. Get ready, why? You're only not allowed to eat Bassar B'Chalav if they were cooked together. If a guy would take 2 pieces of salami and a piece of American cheese and put it in a bun and eat it, according to the Torah, he should make a moitzi, make a bracha, and eskes into hay. There is no problem in eating that type of Bassar B'Chalav. The Bassar B'Chalav that the Torah prohibits is only if they were cooked first. How did they get cooked if you're not allowed to cook it? If it was cooked, you can't eat it. How do I know that? Because the Torah says, Tavasha, light Tavasha, light Tavasha, light Tavasha. The cook, you're not allowed to cook it. If it was cooked, you can't eat it. And if it was cooked, you can't sell it. So the cooking, the Tavasha part, is very highlighted. And that's why it's said 3 times, because only derech bishul, only milk and meat that were cooked together, the Isser applies minat Torah. Now, the Rabbanon come along. You're never going to find a person like Chaim and Betzin with Payalach eating a cold piece of schnitzel. You're saying you will? And mustard cheese. You're going like this. The Torah says you're allowed to. Why would you not find anybody doing that? Because the Rabbanon, stop that. The Rabbanon are afraid if you're going to start having cold cuts and cheese together, then what's going to stop you from cooking it together? So the Rabbanon's job is always to make a siyog, a fence, a protection, to make sure you stay away from problems in the Torah. So they said, even though this is really allowed, we don't want you to eat, even if it was shaloi kederech bishul. Even if it wasn't cooked, don't eat milk. You know, by the way, it goes much, much further than that. How does it go much, much further than that? In Simon Pei Tes, Shaya, you like a slice of pizza? You like a slice of pizza? Yeah?
I used to.
If you have a hot dog, could you eat pizza an hour later? No.
No.
We know
Tosfos
you.
says
you're
right
Dutch.
away, no?
Huh?
Isn't there a Tosfos says that you can eat right away afterwards?
You need Smicha and Muslim and Silik Suda, but we don't passing that way. What is the standard Yid Paskin?
Sheishas.
Shei. Did you hear what you just said? I have to wait 6 hours after I had a hot dog before I can have a slice of pizza. Why?
The chumrah, no?
You did chumrah the what? The chumrah is that I shouldn't eat Bassar B'Chalav. Bassar B'Chalav is only us if they were cooked together. It's 6 hours apart and they're not nowhere near being cooked together. So this is gonna, and not only that, that's Simon Pei Tes. In Simon Pei Tes, it says, you know what? Because we're so worried about you eating milchiks and fleishiks together, they shouldn't be on the same table. What do you mean the same table? I thought the Torah only doesn't allow it when they were cooked together. This is not being cooked. This is just, it's on the same table. They might end up in the same plate. You might eat, but it's not cooked. So that's going to have the fun and games when you get there. But I'm discussing the point that minat Torah, Bassar B'Chalav is only prohibited if they were tevashel, if they were cooked. When it's cooked, you can't eat it. When it's cooked, you can't sell it. The Rabbanon came along and said, even if it's not cooked, you can't eat it. Now I'm very careful with my words. Even if it's not cooked, you can't eat it. Could you sell it? Could a person sell cheeseburger sandwiches? Could a person sell non-cooked cheeseburgers? Could he make sandwiches of cheese and cold cuts and give it away to his workers as for lunch? That's hana. Do the Rabbanan make the Isser hana on Bassar B'Chalav? Or the Rabbanan only make their buffer zone for Achila? These are all questions that you're going to learn as we move along. So let's dissect these 5 words. Lois, Sevashel, Gedi, B'Chalav, Imoy. Lois, Sevashel, Gedi, B'Chalav, Imoy. A person should not, you're not allowed to, Loi, you're not allowed to. Tevashel, you're not allowed to cook. A Gedi is a kid, a goat. B'Chalav, Imoy, and his mother's milk. I beg of you, please, I might even, just for this, I might make this year shorter. So you should be able to find the Hakdama. A lot of the things I'm saying now, if you listen to the Hakdama here, I'm sure I did it better then. Because when I'm in the zone of giving a Hakdama, I prepare Hakdama. Now I thought everybody heard that already, so I'm trying to create new stuff. So it will be very important to listen to the Hakdama here. But Bekitzer, Loi Tevashel Gdi B'Chalev Imoy. Don't, you're not allowed to. Let's start with that word. You're not allowed to. So if a person does, he was over allowed. He was over allowed. And what happens if you're over allowed? You get malchus, right? So if a person eats Bassar B'Chalav, that was cooked together, Bassar B'Chalav, that was cooked together, he would be going against what the Torah doesn't want. He gets malchus. How much does he have to eat? How much does he have to eat to get punished? To get malchus?
Right.
Huh?
Kazayas.
Who said that? A kazayas. Why a kazayas? Because when the Torah says eating is a shear. If you're just snacking a drop, that's not called eating. Eating has a shear. Anything under the shear, you didn't eat. So, but we know the rule, chatzi shear is asur min haTorah. You just don't get malchus. Malchus you get if you ate a shear. So your shear was a kazayas. Here comes the Pri Megadim's discussion. The kazayas is a combined kazayas. Between the milk and meat together, I have a kazayas, or a kazayas chalav and a kazayas basar. So the answer is a combined kazayas is already a shear.
I don't understand the question.
It's not really a question. It's just
It's not a question because
achila,
this
since
is
achila is a kazayas, I don't need a kazayas of each. A combined.
I don't care for the even if you have only like a drop of milk. Again, I'm not talking about bottle. I'm not talking about the potato of it. But if, let's say, for example, it's not bottle, you have a drop of milk and a 3/4 of a kazayas from Bassar, you still have a kazayas of Bassar B'Chalav, because Bassar B'Chalav is the factual information that you have here, Bassar and Chalav together.
The Pri Megadim says exactly what you're saying. You don't need to have a kazayas of Bassar and kazayas of Chalav to create the shear. A combined kazayas, which is smaller, right, is already, you had an achila of an isser. Good. So again, the shear gives you a punishment. Rahman al-Fan. Under the shear, it's not a punishment, but it's still usher. So the smallest amount of Bassar B'Chalav is still usher. A kazayas is loy, is a lav, is a chiyuv. That's why I want you to be aware that when you're going to learn the Shulchan Aruch, you have to be aware where it says chayiv and where it says usher. There's a big difference between chayiv and usher. Chayiv means, the guy just went against the Isser min haTorah, and he's chayiv malchus. Usher means that it's pater aval usher. It's pater min haTorah, but it's only usher min the Rabbanan. Okay, you'll see later on there's a very big controversy about gelatin. Gelatin is made from bones. So there's a big controversy if the bones have to be from a kosher animal or not, because the fact is that bones don't taste like meat. So over there, it's based on a Pri Megadim that we learn later on that it says atzamos is pater. Bones are not meat. So if a person, today's days, we all put bones in soup, right? We put bones in cholent. You put bone. But really, if the Torah says don't eat meat, eating a bone is not normal. It's not eating meat. That's not what you're eating.
But the bone you put in the soup is for
It's a marsh bone. It's a marsh bone. I know.
Yes.
Okay.
That would be considered a bone?
No, that atzamos harakim. You learned already tarubis, right?
Yes.
Tarubis in which siman Chaim? The atzamos harakim, atzamos kashim. No.
Tzadik Hai.
Tzadik Tes.
Tzadik Tes. Sorry, that's
Tzadik Tes Sif Aleph.
But that's different than Samasara. It's considered Samasarakan. Malach is bone marrow is
Bone marrow is for sure meat.
for sure meat.
We're talking about a knuckle bone, a dry, hard bone. So it says in Siv Zayin that it's not meat, but it doesn't say mutar. It says potter. What does potter mean? You're not getting punished. It doesn't say you're allowed. So there are, when I teach other halach, when I teach about zmanim, you also have the same thing. In the zmanim, in the morning part of the day, there's Amud HaShachar, and after Amud HaShachar, crack of dawn goes Netzach Chama, sunrise. And the tail end of the day is Shkia, sunset, and Seisach Echavim. So the same thing over here. There is Chayiv, Mutar, Potter, Osir. So you have to be careful with these words. Chayiv means Isra min HaTorah, you're getting Malchus. Osir means you're not getting Malchus, but you're not allowed to do it. Potter means you're exempt from the punishment, but you still shouldn't do it. Mutter means go ahead, make my day, do what you want. Remember that. Okay, so loy, that's the word loy. Loy, when would you get Malchus? By the way, I'm dodging a bullet here. The loy sevachal gediba chalevimoy, and it says don't do it. And now we know each one is a separate. One is for bishul, one is for achila, and one is for hana. Are you telling me for each one of them I get Malchus? Any one of them I get Malchus? I get Malchus for eating Bassar B'Chalav. I get Malchus for cooking Bassar B'Chalav. I get Malchus for selling Bassar B'Chalav. Is that right? So you're going to listen to the Ekdama shir. You'll hear. And what's the shear? What's called making money? What's called making profit? What's the shear? What's called cooking? So those are details you'll listen to. Okay. Tavash, loy. I just covered the first word, loy. Let's go to the second word. Tavasho. You shouldn't cook. Lior, you do any cooking?
Yes, I do.
Cooking? So if the Torah says you shouldn't cook, Nish Heinkedach, you remember not too long ago, I think it was Mother's Day or Father's Day. I don't want to be Moitzi Laz and a Yid, but there was a famous YouTube clip that was going around of a Jewish senator, I don't want to say a Yid of New York, that was showing how he's celebrating one of these days. He's by the grill. It's one of our New York Jewish senators. He's by the grill and he's grilling a meat patty with cheese on it. Right? And everybody was saying, oh, Yena Yid. So the question is, Lior, he was grilling it. He wasn't cooking it. Is grilling burger with cheese the same as cooking burger with cheese? Because the Torah says, Loi Tevachel. Does the Torah mean only bishul? Because I do know that later on in Siv Vav it says smoked milk and meat is not asur min Torah. And I know that Siman Tzadik Aleph Siv Ches it says salting milk and meat is not asur min Torah. A kavush, milk. What's the word in English? Kavush, no.
To marinate it.
Marinating milk and meat is not asur min Torah because it's not bishul. So how about roasting? How about frying? So roasting and frying and pouring hot water. Once you get into the sugya, check out the Pischei Tshuva Beis. Pischei Tshuva Gimel, and check out Kedusha Rabbi Kiva Aleph, where they go through the list of things to decide whether it's under the problem of bishul. Because when it's under the problem of bishul, then it's asur min Torah. When it's not under the problem of bishul, then it's only asur min the Rabbanan. So we have to know, what does cooking mean? So for you guys who learn Tarubis, Shai, you want to show off a little? What does cooking mean?
Cooking is when it's in liquid.
Liquid that's hot on the pot, hot on the fire, in a pot on the fire.
Yeah.
Right? So what would you say? Is sli like bishul? Roast is tigun like bishul? Or what would you say?
I'm looking at the first sif and the mechaber.
If you're looking at the mechaber, he only says bishul, derech bishul.
Right, it says Minat Torah, it says only Derek Bishul.
So are you going to say that that senator that was grilling a burger with cheese on it, that was not derech bishul?
Midiraisa, Midirabanan.
Midoraisa.
It's not up for me to say. It's
Okay, but you forgot that you learned Taruvus. And Taruvus is the only default that Sli has. Why is Sli roasting different than bishul? And what?
For penetration.
That it doesn't have liquid to spread the taste.
So, but yeah, penetration.
But do foods cook that way?
But kovesh is also the same thing. If it's longer than the specific timing, you'll have the same problem as.
The only difference is kovesh is not done in fire. Sli is in the fire. Sli at least is in the fire family. So anything.
Kabush was considered as cooking, if I'm not mistaken.
Kavush, I answered you. The Rabbanan considered kavush marinating as cooking because it also prepares food. But if that means that the food is edible, even if you don't cook it, there's other ways how to prepare food. But if the Torah didn't want you to cook, I only have to disallow things that are similar to cooking. What's similar to cooking? Anything which is done on fire. That's the consensus of the Rekiva Eger and Pesach Tshuva, that Sli would be just like Bishul.
frying also, no?
Frying is a machlokes, if it's Bishul or not. You'll see that. Okay, we'll get to that. So, loy tivashel. What's the third word? Doc, you with me? Gedi. Doc, you there?
Yeah, like a lamb.
Gedi is not a lamb. Gedi is a goat.
A goat, sorry, goat. Yeah.
Okay, now why would the Torah say Gedi?
This is like a shuman, like a fatty gedi. You get penetration.
That's Simon Kufay. That's Simon Kufay.
The sciatic nerve, but the
Gidanasha.
Gidanasha. Thank you. Gidanasha.
Yeah, but why? That's very good. I know where you're
yeah.
Okay, let's go. Well, why, when the Torah wants to prohibit milk and meat to be cooked together and to be eaten together, whatever, why did he use the word gedi? He should have said loisavashal basar. When he says gedi, it's causing problems. The problems are maybe only kid milk, maybe only goat meat is prohibited, maybe cow's meat is allowed. The Torah is very, very straightforward. They don't. So please look at Siv Beis. This is an easy Siv. Says Siv Beis, Gedi lav dafka. When the Torah says a goat, it didn't mean only a goat. Jehu Adin, the same would apply to Shur. Shur is a bull. Set is a shepsela. How do you say shepsela? Meaning a sheep. Ve'ez and a goat. All kosher meats, all kosher animals are not allowed. And the question goes on, the second part of the pasuk also. It says, don't cook a gedi, b'chalav imoy, and its mother's milk. So I won't cook in its mother's milk. I cook in regular milk. Says the halacha, v'lo yishna b'chalav ein, v'lo yishna b'chalav b'keres. It doesn't make a difference if he's not allowed to cook it in its mother's milk, and he's not allowed to cook it in any milk. So why did the Torah say it that way? Ela shediber hakasuv b'hoiva. Diber hakasuv b'hoiva is an expression. The Torah was talking to the people what they were doing. This is what they were doing. That was common practice. And he was saying, that, Mishagayis, I don't want you to do. Now go figure out why were people doing that. That you'll see in some Kabbalistic, why were they doing it? But the Torah, the halacha, the Isser is not restricted to specifically these type of milks and these type of meat. It's all kosher meat to all kosher milk. Loy savashal gedi b'chalev imay. So, Doc, I got a trick question for you. You know how you speak a little Hebrew?
Kitzat Ivrit, sure.
How do you say milk in Hebrew?
Chalav.
Yeah, and this pasuk says loy savashal gedi b'chalev imay. And now in the Torah, it does. There are no nekudas. Maybe the Torah was telling us you're not allowed to cook a goat in its mother's fat. Caleb. How do we know that over here it means milk? Shia likes that question.
I mean,
This question the Aruch HaShulchan asks.
yeah, I would say because it's referencing a kid in relationship to its mother, the relationship there is that the mother gives milk to the kid. But
All right. So you want to hear how practical? You want to hear how practical answer the Aruch HaShulchan gives? His answer is,
The grammar would be different.
what would be the grammar? You're a Balkar, aren't you?
No,
No? What would be the grammar different?
I'm assuming the grammar would be different.
Listen to this cut. What's chalev? Fat. What happens when you cook fat? It's fried. It doesn't cook. If it was fat, it wouldn't say don't cook. It would say don't fry. It would say lo sitagin. Because it says, this is what the Aruch HaShulchan says. Since it says lo sivasho, that tells us chalev imoy means its mother's milk and not its mother's fat. Okay. Anyway, that's a nice shtickle Torah. So lo sivasho l'di b'chalev imoy. Rabbi, say, let's learn the first sif inside, and then we'll see what else we can dribble here. Just for Parperois L'Chachma, Bassar B'Chalav starts in Siman Pei Zayin, chapter 87, and it goes through Siman Tzadik Zayin. So for those who learned Bassar B'Chalav, those who learned Taruvas with me, know that Taruvas starts in Siman Tzadik Ches. The Taruvas follows after this, and we went backwards. We did Taruvas first, and we're doing one before Taruvas now. Bassar B'Chalav. Okay. So Hilchos Bossor B'Cholov. I have a question here. I never got a clear answer. The headline on the siman is Be'ezah Bassar Noyeg Dim Bassar B'Cholov. Which body parts of the meat of the animal is considered meat that you can't cook it with milk? Because as I told you before, there are some body parts that are not necessarily considered flesh. For example, I mentioned the bone. Maybe it's not meat. How about if a person is cooking the hooves or the horns or the skin? Are they meat? So you go see later on. And v'heich nikra bishul. What's considered bishul? Because only what's in the realm, only what's categorized as bishul is asher min haTorah. And it's very important to us what goes into that category of bishul. So smoking milk and meat is not bishul. And Siv Vav, you're going to learn that's only asher midrabanan, because that's not derech bishul. All right, says the Mechaber. Kasu b'Torah, the Torah says, don't cook a kid, a goat, in its mother's milk. Gimel plamim. This halacha, this Isser says 3 times in the Torah. Echad l'Isser bishul. The echad l'Isser, first time is telling you not to cook meat and milk. The echad l'Isser achila. The second time tells you you can't eat milk and meat that were cooked together. The echad Isser hana. And then it tells you that you're not even allowed to sell milk and meat that's cooked together. So I have a student here in Pomona that for a parnasa, he sells online pet food. And now, little do we know what pet food is made out of. They put meat. Sometimes they put milk products in as a part of what they make for the pet food. If the pet food is Bassar B'Chalav, you can't sell it. A Yid can't sell. A Yid can't sell Bassar B'Chalav, even for pet food. And what happens if you are Avremi Solansky and he has a lot of stocks? Are you allowed to have stocks in McDonald's? Is that called Hana? You'll ask your father if he has stocks in McDonald's. Is that called?
I don't think so, but I'll ask.
Only stocks in McDonald's. McDonald's, I don't know if they have cheeseburgers, right? I'm guessing they have cheeseburgers. That would be derech bishul, right? Now, I want to tell you, if they have hamburgers, that's not asher min haTorah. Why? Because remember the Torah says lo yisavashel gedi. only kosher species meat is Asur Mishum Bassar B'Chalav. Chazer doesn't have a problem with Bassar B'Chalav. Chazer is anyways a problem. It's a problem of Chazer. So the Isser of Bassar B'Chalav only applies in kosher animals, not kosher meat. So if McDonald's is selling beef patties with cheese, that would be Hana from Bassar B'Chalav that was cooked together. Could you own stocks in McDonald's?
But that's also not really cooked together because the burgers are cooked separately. They're first cooked. After they cook, they put the cheese on.
Boy, Shia. Is that considered?
Still
If you put a you should know from Tarubas. If you put a slice of cheese on a hot burger.
I'm not talking about Tarubas.
Hold on. Is that
talking about Bassar B'Chalav here?
I'm talking about Bassar B'Chalav. When you put cheese on a hot burger, did you just cook?
What?
You
Yes. Yes.
Bingo. So you just cook.
No, but you're saying the Isra Bassar B'Chalav is only when the Midiraisa is only when the Bassar and the Chalav are cooked together.
Is this a form of cooking? Is Cham? It's Soinein L'Toich Cham that you learned over there.
I hear, yeah.
Okay. Say Fatasi Avisi Pashaiti. No, but it's much better. It's not. I pushed you away, but it's Soinein L'Toich Cham is actually machlokes if you would consider it here. But not a bishul. But if you learn Taruvas, you know that if something hot is on the bottom and cold falls on it, it transfers taste, and it does
go right.
Bassar Treife does have Bassar B'Chalav on it.
I didn't say today, I said Tmeya.
I know. I'm asking. Bassar Treife is the same as Bassar Tmeya.
Nevela has Bassar B'Chalav. Tmeya.
They do have.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's why Burger King is not under Meal Matzah, right? Burger King or McDonald's is not kosher, but it's beef. It's a kosher animal, but it wasn't shefted. It's not chazer. Chazer would be tmeya. There is no Isser Bassar B'Chalav on tmeya, but there is Bassar B'Chalav on nevela and treifa. You'll see that in Siv Gimel.
But Nevela and Treife Stamazoi has an Isra Hana.
Nevela
and Treife Stamazoi has an Isra Hana. Like you're not allowed to have a no from.
Nevela Treife is Isra Hana. There's no Isra Hana.
In Kif Aleph, no.
Nevela and Treife, there's no Isra Hana. Is it Kuf Aleph?
Yeah. No, there's a Shachan Taz there, no? On that.
There's no Isra Hana.
There's no Isra Hana Treife? Okay.
Right. It's only on Bassar B'Chalav. And comments with Pesach, as you have it in Kuf Gimel, about over there he talks about Gabi Sheish Matrim. He brings comments with Pesach. Kuf Beis, right? Okay. Echad l'Isra Bishul, Echad l'Isra Achila, Echad l'Isra Hana. If it's three separate Isurim, why does it say the same word three times? The Torah took the word of eating out. The Torah didn't say eat, don't eat. The Torah instead kept on pushing, don't cook. He said lashon bishul, bishul, bishul. Why? Laimar, because the Torah is expressing to you, when is it usher? She'ene usher min ha-Torah ela derech bishul. The Isser of Bassar B'Chalav is only usher if it went through the process of bishul first. If it went through the process of bishul first. Only then it's usher min ha-Torah. Only the Rabbanon, but the Rabbanon come along and say usher b'cholinyin. That you're not allowed to have milk and meat even if they were not cooked together. But that's the Rabbanon's. That is the Rabbanon's Kiddush. And then comes the Ramah. I'm not going to tell you now the Ramah because the Ramah opens with one line. He opens up a can of worms. But the Ramah is bothered with a pashta question. There's the Issa D'Oraisa and there's the Issa D'Rabbanan. Min ha-Torah it's only Asur derech mishul. But the Rabbanan it's Asur even shleika derech mishul. So to me and you it doesn't make a difference. We have to honor the Rabbanan just like we honor what the Torah says. So what is the basic difference if it's only Asur min ha-Torah or if it's only Asr with the Rabbanon, or if it's Asr min HaTorah.
Suffix.
Something, but he drops the bomb. The Ramah will add one basic fundamental thing. I'll tell it to you, B'Kitzur. The Ramah will say when the item is Asr min HaTorah, it's Asr B'Achila, Asr B'Bishul, Asr B'Hana. When it's only Asr with the Rabbanon, it's only Asr B'Achila. It's not Asr B'Hana. The Rabbanon don't make their Isser. They don't make their buffer zone on Hana. They only tell you not to eat it. But selling an Isser the Rabbanon, you could. Okay? You'll see that in that, and then there's a Marshal, a Bach that argues, but nobody agrees with them. But this is, I want to ask everybody, please. I just opened this up, but please listen to that introduction share because that will help you. And whoever's from the new Chevra, who's the one that actually has a son that wants to? Is anybody? I got a message from my administrator that somebody's checking out the program to see if it's his son. Is that you, Bear? No, not you. Maybe it's Rabbi Dr. J. I don't know, or maybe who else is not here? What have they been seeing? He's a real good mashgiach. A yotze b'nichnas. Okay. Saki, what's your real name?
Yitzchak.
Yitzchak. You see, this is a hard hat zone. This is not, you can't fall asleep in the middle of this. We get everybody entertained there. All right, Kol Tov, everybody, B'suras Tovas, please, if anybody needs a chavrusa, I think my administrator opened up a WhatsApp group chat. If anybody has any issues, problems, fight it out on the WhatsApp, and we're here to help. All right? I once saw a bumper sticker. We're from the government. We're here to help. Kol Tov, B'suras Tovas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll see you at 10, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for reminding me.
Okay.
You want to tell me? I have a shear from 9 to 10. Okay, fine.
9 to 10, yeah, but sure, so I'll come in, I'll knock the door at 10 o'clock.
Huh? Yeah. I'm thinking maybe we should go to the shul downstairs, whatever.
Yeah?
All right. Whatever it is. Just text me from outside. I'll either.
Okay.
Hold it.
Nope. Take care.